My charity is called Sustrans. It does what it says on the tin. It stands for Sustainable Transport, encouraging people to walk, cycle, use public transport, basically travel around in ways that benefit your health and the environment. And top down or bottom up, well, I'm going to do what I used to do at school and sit on the fence and say, really, it could be a bit of both, it could be either or, but maybe at the end of my little presentation, I'll let you decide. So, what was on offer? As I say, it was £50 million. It was a lottery competition organised by the Big Lottery Fund. Sustrans has had quite a big success in getting lottery fund money over the years. About 10 to 12 years ago, we got £43.5 million to develop the National Cycle Network. So we thought, okay, we'll give it a try. If someone's offering you £50 million, you're going to go for it, aren't you, really? Also, it was a public vote, so the chance to actually go to the public vote and let them decide was an offer too good to miss, and all the TV coverage and everything else. So £50 million actually is good news, a chance to improve people's opportunities to walk and cycle across the whole of the UK. So basically, the competition was called the People's 50 Million. It was all about the people, so then I think we're already starting from the bottom up. Our scheme was called Connect To, and it was basically a group of projects to actually help people get around their local areas. So where there's a busy railway line or a river or a busy road they can't get across, we wanted to build bridges, underpasses, tunnels, even a ferry up in Northumberland to help them get around more easily. So it was 79 projects in 79 communities, potentially reaching about 6 million people. That was 6 million people within a mile of one of our schemes. And already, even at the very beginning when we were launching it, we were engaging with communities by using a website, getting people to come on, make their suggestions, and then when we chose the projects we wanted to go with, these 79 UK-wide, we'd ask people to say, what do you think about it? And we had around about 10,000 hits in the first few weeks of the project going live, so we knew that we really had something. And in terms of competition, because it was a competition, we had 3 competitors, I'll tell you who they were later on, to do all that one press team. Although in actual fact, at the end of the day, we did get around 40 press teams working with us through the various projects. As I mentioned, the challenge was to get this public vote in a winner-take-all competition. It was £50 million or nothing, basically. But we had some challenges, some communications challenges, which I think you'll all share and understand that at the beginning, there was no specific date for the vote. We didn't really know that we were going to be in the final TV vote because we were up against all these competitors at the beginning. And there was no clarity whether it would be online, whether it would be web, whether it would be people sort of voting via text. And if you remember this time last year, there was lots of controversy around telephone voting. ITV were in trouble, BBC, even Blue Peter were in trouble. So we were already, it was getting quite controversial, and it was a long process when we originally started this. It was around about 3 years ago. Competition, as I mentioned, there were 3 major competitors: Eden Project, Black Country, Sherwood Forest, and in the early stages, Somerset. But we thought we'd got a unique selling point, is that though the others are very regional, very geographical based, we were UK-wide, and we were very clever and canny, I think, to choose projects across the whole of the UK, therefore trying to get the maximum number of votes for our projects. Now, we realised at the beginning that, we've got a nice little media team in Sustrans, but we weren't going to be able to do it all ourselves, not to communicate to 79 communities around the whole of the UK. So, top down with this one, I guess, we worked with those local authorities and partners to make sure that they were giving out the right media messages as well. So we supplied people with media resources. Protocols were really important. The lottery, there's no one from the lottery here, is there? Because if I'm going to be a bit indiscreet. If you're from the lottery, leave the room now. The lottery were really like keeping us under their thumb the whole time in terms of what we could say about them, what we could say about the competition and voting and everything else. So we had to make sure that everybody we worked with adhered to these protocols. We had template press releases, for instance, to make sure everybody was on message. We supplied standard copy for people's newsletters and magazines, again, giving the right messages, because the lottery were watching us at every stage. As soon as there was a bit of press coverage where it looked like we were saying the wrong thing, they were on the phone to me. Case studies were really useful because it was called The People's Millions, the clues in the title. So people were very important. We had people who were telling us that they couldn't go and see their granny. It sounds like a cliche, but in Worcester, the river had divided this family. So they had to do this huge 45-minute car journey to go and see their granny. But with the bridge that they wanted building, it meant they could walk or cycle to her within 10 minutes. So we were bringing families together. We had vicars in Paddington in London who were going to cycle to their parishioners. There was all sorts of lovely stories coming out. Images are really important, obviously, so we were looking after those. And also celebrities. We did work with quite a few celebrities to try and get the word out there. We supplied people, our partners, and we used a range of marketing material. This is just some of the sort of stuff that we were using, from generic stuff to specific to particular projects. The lottery did give us some sort of development money that we could use to pull all this stuff together, but we did end up spending quite a lot of charity resource to do this as well. It was obviously important to network and make sure that we had the message out to as many people as possible, that this was not something that was just about cyclists, because Sustrans is pigeonholed as the cyclist charity. We're not just for cycling, we're for walking as well, we're for communities. So we were careful to work with all sorts of different partners from across the sector, right through from the National Trust and the Environment and Heritage sector, through to the health and children's organisations, because they all stood to benefit. One of the things we did to try and get people motivated right from the beginning was to have a conference, and this was in September last year. Charles Clark chaired our steering group from Connect 2 and got everybody galvanised. We got everybody together talking. We got lots of PR people together in a room talking, exchanging ideas, and moving towards various sort of PR events that we had over the months leading up to Christmas. So we had a Connect 2 day, which was all about showing people that this was something that belonged to them. It wasn't just us telling them that we need you to finish off your bridge in Glasgow. I don't know what a horse on a bike is doing down at the bottom, but in Bath, opening up an old tunnel up here over in Cambridge. All the marketing material you'll see was used quite nicely, and those are environmentally friendly balloons, I will add. And other people doing it in really sort of imaginative ways. I'll just say the Hastings photo call there, they had 300 people there, fantastic, along the cliff face where they wanted to have their cycle route to go. Did they tell the press office that they were doing it? No. So even though we had lots of protocols and agreements, it didn't always work. The idea was that we were capturing people's data because, as I said at the beginning, we didn't know when the vote was going to be, we didn't know how it was going to be organised. So it was crucial to get people's information so we could get back in touch with them in December when the TV programmes were out, and tell them to vote for us. I mentioned celebrities, we've got a few celebrities there. I won't go name them all, but we were very chuffed to have people like Ashley from Coronation Street. Peter Beardsley I'd never heard of, famous footballer apparently. And then you wanted me to be provocative, so there's a provocative cleavage for you with Lorraine Kelly, who was our celebrity sort of champion. We were asked to nominate someone to front the TV programme, which was going to lead off all the voting. And I asked for Lorraine Kelly because she's not known for cycling particularly, but she is known as being a great communicator, great with the public, because we're actually talking not just to one particular community, we're talking across the board. And she said yes, and she was fantastic and really supportive and really on message. In the end, it wasn't primetime TV that the programme went out on, it was in the evening, about 11 o'clock at night, but she did do pretty well. Over the vote weekend, which was the second weekend in December, there was lots of activity going on. This, I'm told, there were 11,000 Father Christmases assembled in Derry. It's just one of the projects. Don't ask me what they were all doing, but it was a Connect 2 event. So the vote weekend, there was lots of activity from my office especially. We were actually on the phone ringing people, reminding them to vote. And then the phone lines closed at 1 o'clock on the Monday, so we just had our fingers crossed. And yes, the good news was that we did win. But it's actually interesting. I mean, I'm not very good with statistics. I don't really like pie charts. I love this pie chart because there's a big piece of blue on there, which is connected. But the votes, just over 250,000 votes cast. So for all the effort that we put in, it was you know, a bit disappointing. Would have liked to see more, but as I say, the climate for voting last year was not brilliant. So there's the cheque, £50 million. We haven't spent it yet. You'd be surprised how difficult it is to actually spend 50 million, but it has been allocated to projects. And I'll just finish up just by showing you the bottom-up approach. This is the first scheme which opened in July this year in Dumfries and Galloway, and it actually came about as a member of the public who'd written to us through the Daily Telegraph and said, I really want a route near me, I want a route opened up. And this actually turned out to be the viaduct near his home, and that's another lady who's going to be benefiting. And I think the quote just says it all. That's a genuine quote. I used to have to get in my car to go to the supermarket. Now I just head out with Cosmo and my dog, and that's Vicky. So, and that's Connect 2. So thank you for listening.